Okay, there's enough people here. Let's go ahead and just start like previewing. So tonight, I shared today on my blog and on 7 Kids Create this simple, very simple photo folio I created. And what I did was I literally sat down and thought, how simple can I make this for someone who is maybe even just a beginner, but would be easy to put together. You could learn something from it, but it would make a great Christmas gift. So I made this photo folio, and I love these. Just a little photo album, and I figured out it could hold probably 15 to 30 pictures easily. And I used this Cartabella. I love beautiful paper. And so this is a Cartabella set that I have had. Actually, I went on a crazy spree a couple years ago and I bought all kinds of Christmas paper. And then I didn't get to use much of it at all. I just never had time to get things made. So, yes, Melissa says, make sure you get your file for the dimensions if you don't have them. I kind of posted it earlier. And I forgot to print mine, but hopefully I have all the measurements as we go if you're just following along. So anyway, I had these from a couple years ago, and I love this set that I used because it's vintage looking. The edges are even kind of yellowed. It's that very Tim Holtz, like 1950s looking. It reminded me of all the different kinds of decorations and things that my grandma had and my aunt and my great aunt. And so I just love this paper. It's not for everybody, but there is a set. Kelly does not have this exact set in the store, but she's got another Cartabella from this year, and it's very similar. It really reminded me of it. So if you like this kind of retro vintagey look, just quickly, I just thought I would flip through some of this so you can see it. Obviously, any place I have white would be a photo mat. So this, I think, it would be close to a 4x6. You'd have to trim it down just a little bit. Hi, Pam. Pam's here. So there's 1, 2. This is a little bit smaller. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, just right here on these flips. And I'll tell you, I make these smaller just because I like to have this little edge here so when it's all closed, you see it and you don't see a picture. So you get to see the beautiful papers in these, but then it's a nice organized place for pictures. And I will tell you also, a lot of times when people make these albums, you'll see something here and we have magnets, or we have a band, or you could have ribbon, or you have more flaps that close. But like I said, I wanted to keep it as simple as possible so like even a beginner could make this. So there's no magnets in this album. I love magnets. I normally use magnets everywhere. There are no magnets, nothing. Melissa says has the link for the Cartabella paper that's similar. It's a 6x6 pad. And that's what's also nice about this. You could use a 6x6 pad to create this whole album if you wanted. Now, obviously, I do have some bigger pieces in here because I had a 12x12 set, but we'll talk about ways that you can get around it and just use 6x6 pads also. This, what I fussy cut from one of the big sheets, and I tell you, Cartabella paper, if the 12x12 has the most gorgeous heavyweight cardstock paper. I just love it. And a lot of the big companies do. I know Prima does, Echo Park does, but Cartabella has one of my favorites because it has like a texture to it. And so then this is a pocket right here. And I put, these are just cards you can cut out of the 12x12 and 4x6 cards. So I just cut these and I just left them on the back. You could put a picture on the back just because they're pretty. I like to show those. And then I made photo mats. And these are for 4x6, and then there's a photo mat on the back of all of them. So I like that. And you can trim your photo down, and then it's framed on these beautiful mats. And then these are 3x3, and I put 2 on each of these. So I just think those are cute that way. Photo mats also. So you can make as many as you'd like. And put in there. Obviously, this would even hold more than I've put in here. And actually in the album, I've changed it from this one that I made. We're going to put 2 pockets to give us even more room for photos. So I think we said this was 8, and I think I have at least 8 8 to 10 right here in this pocket. So you can see, and then we have a 1-inch spine, and that gives us lots of room. You can see we have a lot of room to expand and add even more pictures. And you know, when you add your pictures, it starts adding up and bulking your albums. So we have lots of room for it to expand then. And then when you tie it, obviously everything stays together. But I just thought, what a great idea. People love it when you give them something like this. It's beautiful. And yes, we keep all of our pictures stored on our phones, but it's nice. I mean, what happens if your phone breaks or you lose it and you don't have it in the cloud? And I just think this is pretty. It looks pretty in a bookshelf also. So this would also be great for family recipes. You could do it landscape and give it away as recipe books. And you could even do like one little book for casseroles or desserts, and one book, or just give it for holiday recipes for your family. There's so many different options for it. So I thought we are going to use the Photoplay Kringle and Company. I bought the 2 stamp sets that Kelly had in the store. I like to make tags and things like that. I bought the tags that she has, and then I bought the paper. And this is what we're going to use today, but you'll see all of these as we use them. Beautiful papers, and I kind of like, whereas I like this vintage paper, I also like real modern. I like black and white and red and kind of modern looking ones too. So this is what we're using, but I thought I'd also share some others that I have that I think Kelly has in the store. This is Echo Park Let's Party paper, and sometimes you have to open them up and you have to be able to see the papers up close. Look at these with like the animal balloons. What a cute kind of kids album this would be. It would be so adorable. So I thought these are nice. You can cut them apart and use them on edges of things. I just thought maybe you'd like to see some of these other cute papers. I mean, how cute. And even for cards, not just for albums. Look at those balloon animals. How fun. So especially, you know what I thought? I pulled this out because I'm going to use this, I think, with my Fairwees that are in the Sweet November Vault release through the end of the month. My sister showed me how to get my images printed, and so I'm going to color them up, and I'm going to use this really cute birthday Let's Party paper from Echo Park. I think Kelly's got this. She sent me this Echo Park. Thank you, Kelly, as a gift this month. This is very similar to some of, I had this one, A Perfect Christmas, and what I wanted to show you is she's got newer stuff in the store than what I think this one is. This is a new one, but they don't change a whole lot from year to year, so I thought you might want to see, this is the new one, some of the cute papers. Sometimes you have to see them up close, and then you can cut these apart. I love Echo Park and Cartabella papers for Christmas. There's more black and white and reds. And I like that there's tans, there's neutrals, and then the greens in there. I love these papers. So I just thought I'd share some of these with you. So let's get started because this is going to be, I'm going to kind of rush through it. And I've got as much cut already as I kind of thought I could. And I gave you the directions already. So let me gather my thoughts. So we had in the directions, you needed 2 10.5 by 5.5 chipboard pieces. And this is for your cover. This is going to create your cover. And then a 1-inch chipboard. And I have already, on the back of these, put my score tape. I use score tape for albums because it is strong. And you do not want your albums pulling apart, coming apart. So I use score tape for everything. And Kelly's got this in the store too. And one thing I didn't tell you is, let me backtrack. I kind of got excited here. We're going to do 2 giveaways tonight. People who are with me here and here at the end, we are giving away 1 6x6 paper pad, and I believe it's a Cartabella because Cartabella is my favorite, and a roll of my favorite adhesive for making albums, score tape. So what a nice gift. Thank you, Kelly, for giving us that. So we'll do a drawing just like Melissa does at the end. And then also a second winner is going to win the album that we make tonight. I'm going to send them this as my gift. So we're going to give away 2 things. Hi, Sheila. Sheila's here. Let me backtrack just a little bit real fast. I want to talk about what's going on in the store before I forget, in case I forget at the end. New Hello Bluebird is coming in soon. We're waiting any day for that. I just mentioned the Sweet November Vault release until the end of the month. If you haven't seen the Fair Weaves or all of Amy's coloring or everybody else's coloring, I love it. I just love those little Fair Weaves. They're so cute. And then there's new greeting farm in the store. The cute girls with the coffee cups. They're really cute. Also, Kelly's taking orders until August 31st for new Lavinia. So all of you Lavinia fans, get excited and get your orders in. Kelly will specifically take orders for things you want. So get those orders in. Okay, and then I wanted to do this because I was excited about. I know this is different for us than what we normally do, but I love making albums, and I thought it would be fun to share it with you guys. And you can check out some of the new papers that are in the store because there's lots. So anyway, here's your 2 chipboards. I've already got score tape on the back, and then I put together 2 pieces of 12 by 12. All I did was I put a piece of score tape perfectly on the edge, straight down. That gives you your straight line. Took my second piece, and I always use glue. And I will tell you, for albums, this is called Art Glitter. Can we get it there and get the camera in? It's called Art Glitter Designer Dries Clear Adhesive. And I love to watch Kathy King. She's like the queen of beautiful mini albums, and this is the glue that she recommends, and I use it for the first time. I love it. So I use a little bit of glue along that edge because it gives you some wiggle room. Line up your papers exactly. Then you have your 2 12 by 12s together, and then I trimmed it down to 13.5 by 12 to give me the perfect size to put my covers on. Okay, so we are going to, this is we need about 1/2 inch all the way around. So I'm going to line up the first edge, and then I'll do my spine, and then I'll do the other one. Okay, it just makes it easier. So I already have my tape. It made it faster for us today. And I'm going to take all the edges off. I love my Tim Holtz craft pick for this. It makes it so easy. And then I'm going to go over all of the tape with glue because, yes, it adds extra adhesive for me because you do not want your albums to move or wiggle at all, but it also gives us wiggle room when we're adhering it. You know, when you're laying your cards down sometimes and you don't get it perfectly, but you've got it taped and there's nothing you can do. We don't want that as much. I mean, it's a lot more work when you're making an album. And there is something called, I think it's called Undo. I haven't used it in a long time, but that stuff is fabulous. And this gives us wiggle room, though, to put it exactly where we want it. So we want about 1/2 inch, and we want it to be just about perfect. My chipboard is a little bit warped, so I need to get it. And then we're just going to put this down and press it. Okay. Now, my number 1 favorite tool is my Teflon bone folder. Pretty much for everything. But really push that down, get all the edges down, your glue kind of smeared around, and get that piece on there. Now, I have also created a little bit of tool with about 3 thin pieces of chipboard. I know you can't see it. It's probably about, and let's measure it. This is about 3/16 of an inch wide. And we just need to use that as a guide in putting our spine down so that your album has room to open, and it kind of helps you, it helps save that spot. So we're going to use that in a second. Let's take this score tape off. And put our glue. I have to tell you guys, when I make an album, I make a mess. So I'm going to try to keep it contained tonight and keep the trash picked up as we go, but I am not the best. So this might end up being a disaster by the time we're finished. Okay, so put my little tool down, and this also helps me get it somewhat straight. And there we go. So again, Sheila says she's got this glue also and she loves it. Isn't it fabulous? What I find is no warping with my paper at all. Like I might start using it a little bit more for my cards because when I need something not to warp. Bonnie says, where do you put the seam? I don't like it centered in the spine, Bonnie. I kind of like it off to the side. This is my opinion. On the back cover, so it kind of fades and no one would notice it. That's where I put it. Also, I'm always worried. You never know. Of course, it would be in the middle, but I just don't want any more cracking or anything. You know, that's always a concern when you make an album. So I think I try to keep it to the back somewhere that it's hidden. There's no perfect spot. You know, that's my opinion. Okay, so let's get this. Now remember, we're going quickly, and if you need the measurements, I put the very, very basic supplies, materials, and cutting dimensions in a file on the 7 Kids Customers Create page today. There's not a lot of specific directions. That's what we're doing tonight. And so I figured you could watch and even watch on replay to get specifics. This is just a very quick kind of tutorial, and you can rewatch it if you need to too. So now we're going to use our tool again to get this one. And I will tell you, I've been making albums for a couple of years, but there are people like Kathy King and a lot of people who are great, and I'm always learning. I've learned what I know from watching videos, and so don't think that if I do something that my way is the absolute way. It's just what I've learned and what I've kind of picked up by watching other people who do a great job. Okay, so press that one down. Now, okay, so now we've got this. That is our outside album. Okay, and you can see that that's just the glue. It'll dry, and we're going to cover it up anyway, but you can see it through there, but it'll dry and it'll be fine. Okay, so that's the outside of our album. Okay, this is the inside. So now what we're going to do is, and I couldn't do this ahead of time. I needed to do it once I was with you guys. I'm going to take my score tape, and I'm going to take it all the way across this side and this side, and then the outer edges. So let's get that done. And it's on the chipboard, it's not on the paper, and you want to go to the very edge because you want your paper to stay and then kind of go in the gutter and then go across and back in the gutter and then on the very edge of this one. And I will tell you, I found this from my Cricut from a long time ago, and it makes it so easy to cut my tape. You want to get it right up to the edge because you want your paper to be sealed. That can make the difference between a professional looking album and one that doesn't look so good. And when pages start to roll up or crinkle or the glue warped, that's where you see the difference in a well-made album. Or even, heaven forbid, if the construction starts coming apart. But one thing is definitely are the papers adhering to from corner to corner and edge to edge. Okay, take your bone folder. Always take it along your score tape because you want to know that that's sticking. And then I'm kind of indenting the where the spine is in your gutter. So that's adhering there. So now we've got that down. Now what you're going to do is very gently, and I start in the middle, you're going to kind of start working your paper up very gently along the edge of your chipboard. And then I take my bone folder and take it along the edge so I have a nice crease there. Right along the edge, a nice sharp, this is another professional. You want a nice sharp crease. And then we can take it all the way over and get it working, starting in the middle and fold it over. Okay, then take your bone folder again and get that nice crease in there right along the edge and make sure your paper's up there. It started to roll back on me. Okay, push it up there and get that nice crease. Okay, now we're going to go to the other side. Start in the middle, very gently. You can't force your paper on this. You need to be easy with it. Okay. Sheila said, let's see, what's T say? The glue is on its way to the store along with some other fun things like glitter glue pens and Nuvo flakes. Ooh, T, so you ordered some of this art glitter? Oh, that's fabulous. That's exciting. Oh, and you guys, Nuvo flakes. Have you used, if you haven't used Nuvo flakes, it's going to change your life. I love Nuvo flakes. Remind me, T, and if we have time, I'll show mine right at the end. I'm not going to demo them because it gets everywhere. But oh my gosh, it looks like gilt, like gold gilt when you use it. I love my Nuvo flakes. So we worked that up, made that nice crease. Now we're going to do these edges. Very gently. I start in the middle. If you go too fast and too rough with your paper, it will crack it. And so we need to take care. Be very gentle. Sheila says, have you ever done old books into albums? I've done two. Kelly should do one on her mixed media. No, Sheila, I don't know exactly what you mean. I would need you to tell me. Like you use an old book and use that for the pages or for the cover, for the spine? I'm not sure what you mean. I'm taking an online class. Well, I started it. I watched videos. I haven't really done anything yet. But she uses an old book to practice as kind of a journal. And I decided I want an old dictionary for it. So, but you'll have to tell me more about that. Hi, Sky. Sharon's here. Dana says she started an altered book. Tell me what I've heard of that before, Dana. Tell me exactly what that is. I'm not sure. So now I'm working, remember, make this nice crease and then fold it over. This is, again, another instance of where we're being patient and we're just taking our time and letting the paper work. Okay, so now we're going to go to the first edge. We're going to take this, oh, I almost forgot. This is very important. Before we glue, and we're going to do this throughout our album, we need to miter the corners. You want to leave, right here on the corner, you want to leave about 1/8 of an inch. Okay, don't miter all the way to the corner. You're going to trim this at an angle, but leave about 1/8 of the paper. That's important. But mitering edges, once again, makes it look professional. So I'm going to go just like that. Can you see that? I left about 1/8 of an inch right there. I could have probably, maybe should have left a little bit more. Do all of your edges, your corners, before you start folding. You want to leave a little bit of paper, but not too much. And I'll show you why in a moment. Mitering edges is another difference in making a very well-made professional album. I think it makes all the difference in the world, and it saves bulk and everything. I kind of rounded this one. Okay, so here we go. Now let's take our tape. And I'm going to go ahead and take it off all the way around. Can you guys see my pile of like tape right here? And you see that it's just crazy by the end. Now, glue. Make sure I get my corner. And I like this little fine tip that you get. I got it with my pack. I don't know if you get it always, but it definitely keeps you from putting too much glue. Okay. Here we go. Starting in the middle and pushing that and rolling that forward so that I'm all the way in. Starting in the middle and going out to the corners. Okay. Take your bone folder. Make sure that we have a nice adhesion there. Okay. Flip it around, do the opposite side. Start in the middle, push that up, and go all the way out. And then once again, I'm going along the edge with my bone folder. See right here, I'm running it along to get that nice crisp edge. Okay. Now we're ready for the corners, and here's why we mitered. We're going to fold this over, but as we do, we're going to take your fingernail or the edge of your bone folder and kind of tuck in right at the very corner, that little piece that wants to stick out. We're going to tuck that in, go to this corner, and I don't know if you can really see it. I'm going to tuck this right on the edge. Tuck that in with your fingernail, okay? That'll make a difference. Now, start in the middle and push your paper in. And then what you'll see is a nice, perfect corner. If you don't tuck that in, you're gonna get that little pointy tip, and you don't want that. And then really push those corners down with your bone folder. Okay. There we go. Now, let's do the other side. Don't forget to tuck it. And I just kind of push it in with my fingernail. Right on the corner. I don't think you can see that. There we go. There's that one. Okay. And then start in the middle and work your way out. This is how you don't get any creases or folds either in your paper, if you start in the middle and then work to the edge. And then if you need to, push that back in with your fingernail and then go over it with your bone folder. And then go along the edge. It's kind of like when you're wrapping a present and you pinch those edges to get that nice perfect crease like they do in the department stores when they wrap those beautiful presents. That's what going along the edge with your bone folder. And this is why a Teflon bone folder, it just glides across the paper. You know, it doesn't snag. it doesn't, I just love my bone folder. And there we go. Nice, beautiful corners. Well put together, nice album. Okay, so very gently right now, just to start it, I'm going to kind of bend these up gently, just to make the paper start thinking about folding. And I'm going to take my bone folder right here, put a little crease there and there. Don't rip the paper, so you have to be gentle. And right there. Just going to start telling it. We're going to start moving, but not too much. If you go too soon or too quickly, it'll crack your paper. Dana says taking an old book, an altered journal, is taking an old book and making it into something else, or a journal. That's what I thought, Dana. That's basically what she's doing in my class, and that's why I love the idea of a dictionary, because I love words. So Sheila says for hers, you take out all of the pages and add your own blank pages, stamp and add pockets and lots of fun stuff. Did one for my great niece when she started a new school to add pictures for the year. I love it. That sounds great, Sheila. I love it. And Dana says she would end up with glue everywhere. I'm sure. I tell you I would. Okay. So then I said, let's see. What did I say? Is this it? Let me see what I've got here. Oh, here. I already cut the piece of paper for my inside cover. Yay. I was more organized than I thought. So, oh no, I didn't. That isn't right. I cut it too small. That's not a very good one. Too small. Okay, let me see what I need. This happens a lot. I will cut my paper wrong. Thank goodness I have one more piece. I was out. So this is still going to be a little bit smaller. I will tell you, I like to cut my pages for the inside, and I want to go just about as close. Normally I leave some trim room, but I want this to go to the very edge, into the very edge. But this is not big enough, and this one I cut too small too. And this is all of the 12 by 12 I have left. So we're going to cut this one. Let's see what I need. This is, I would probably cut it a 1/4 inch smaller thinking. So I need about 12 and 1/8 by, that's why the 12 by 12 is a little small. I need it 10 and a half. So I'm going to cut this on the floor because this is my big one on the floor. 10 and a half. There. That one is just, let me trim it just a tiny bit. So check my directions. I will need to check and see if I had that wrong on my, it should be about 12 and a 1/4 by about 10, and I still need to trim this just a little bit. Should be about 10 and 3/8, I'm guessing. That's better. Almost end to end. So now I'm going to put my tape on this paper. Don't put it on your book, especially if your paper doesn't go like mine from edge to edge. This way it won't show. But I'm putting it once again as close to the edges as possible. Okay. Make sure my tape's down. Hi, Kimberly. Hi, Kim. Do you go by Kim or Kimberly? I'm not sure. Okay. The other thing is we want to put tape on our spine so that and a little bit here in the middle so that we're sure everything's going to stick. So don't go all the way because we don't know where our paper's ending, remember? So let's just put it right here. And then we're going to put some here. And this tape is done. And then I will, once again, I need my wiggle room, I will put glue over everything. Dana, did I see, oh, you guys say I didn't put that down. So remind me, we'll have to put that measurement in there too because we need the inside cover piece. So don't let me forget. Someone remind me that I need to add that. I know I'm off screen a little bit. I only have so much working room. I'll get there. Okay. Okay, get that nice and straight. And with this glue, I will tell you, I just have a paper towel. If I get some on the edges, I just wipe it off and then it dries clear. So, let's go over this. Get that edge, once again, sealed down nice and neat, okay? Really get the spine. I don't know if you guys can tell, but this is what I love. No warping with this glue. And I'm just going to wipe this away right here. Okay, now we're going to very gently feel for where our spine is, and sometimes there, and maybe bend it just a little bit so we have an idea. This is where we are very gentle. And listen, this is where I should have put more adhesive here because my paper is going to want to move now. So listen, add more tape and glue and really glue this down. And that was a mistake I made. Don't do that. A little bit more glue would have kept, this paper wants to kind of buckle. Can you see it right there? Not good. I'm not happy with myself right now. I forgot. Okay. See that? Now, as we work it, it should get better, but still, once again, talking about things that make it nice and professional. Very gently, I'm adding a score right here where my spine is in the gutter. We're kind of just showing our paper how we're going to fold. And then very gently, see that buckle? Oh, I'm not happy. Remember to tape your paper down and really get it down. We'll cover it up, but still. Okay. Kim says either. She'll go by Kimberly or Kim. Dana says, how do you not get glue all over your hands? Well, I do. It's there, Dana. It's just this glue is it's really nice to work with it. So now I'm not going to press it too much because that's how sometimes you get cracking when you force your paper. Just give it a little bit of time. Okay. So there we go. So there's that. Yay, our spine is done. And look how beautiful that is. Can you see it? I love it. I always feel like, wow, I made that because it just looks, it's a book. And I think that's awesome. Okay, get rid of that. And let me get rid of all of this trash here before we go on. Okay. Okay. We are ready for the exciting part. I gave you directions for the flaps and the pockets. And I already, just for the sake of everything, have mine cut out. I have tape on one end already. And we're ready to, and I start with the right side with the flaps because it's really the more involved part. So let's keep everything out of our way on this left side basically. So these are in the directions. Let's see if I have it written on here. Lots of times I'll write it because it'll be covered up with paper anyway. You need 4 4x6 pieces of paper like this. And then you're going to score it 1 inch from the top and then fold it over. And that's going to be your flap like this. And so you're putting tape on the back of that fold. Okay. And I already did that. So we are going to leave, and I want to show you something I created. When I make a new album and I come up with the dimensions and everything that I want, I will make a mock, I don't know if you can see it, the lights are so bright. I make up a mock page and I keep this so that I don't have to come up with new albums every time I want to create one. I can pull out all of my templates and it's a sample, and then I have all the dimensions written right there. You can't see it right here. I don't know why the lights are washing that out. But I have all my dimensions written on the side. So I don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. Kimberly says she'll have to finish tomorrow. Good night, Kim. Thanks for stopping in. And so I've got a template every time, and I can mix and match from other albums, and I'm just not reinventing the wheel every time. So this is telling me I need to leave a 3/4 inch before I place my first flap, and then I'm doing 3/4 inch on each side. But before I lay my flaps down, I need to put paper here, or else we won't have a pretty background. Now, I will tell you, I took a piece of cardstock, red cardstock, and I have already cut it down because this is a bigger piece than most of our 6x6. Now, you could use 6x6 and you could just put thin strips right here and another thin strip right here and then create something in the middle so you don't see the seam, and then you could fill in with a piece in the middle here and a piece in the middle here. And that's a way to use all 6x6, but I figure most everybody's got a piece of 12x12 cardstock somewhere in white, black, or red, something. So I have this red one, and this is what I'm going to use. And I thought for fun, we're basically going to create our own paper because I did get a couple of the stamp sets, and I have my VersaFine Nocturne here, and there are these really cute little fun stamps that we can mix and match and stamp and create our own background paper. So that's what's fun when you have the little stamps. And we only need it, remember, 3/4 inch around, so we don't have to stamp the whole paper. So let's do, I like this, fa la la. There's fa. and law. And let's do this, and see, we can do this and it'll go quickly because we'll create our own little border here. And we'll do that. And then let's see what we have on this one. We have the snowflake. And let's kind of move these so that they aren't perfectly in, or, you know, right in the middle. Let's stamp this one, practice on the back. This had this pattern on the back, but let's just try it and see because we aren't using this side. Aren't these cute stamps? This is the stamps. These are the two stamp sets with the Photoplay. I think there might only be one left in the store, but oops, I didn't do a good job stamping that one. So let's make sure that we get it. There, that's cute. Okay, so let's do this. There we go. So we're creating our own paper. And some of the pattern will be covered up, and that's the point, just like normal paper. And I like to do things like this, you know, come up with ways. If you need a bigger sheet than just the 6x6, what can I do to create my own? There we go. Let's start over here on this one. And once again, we're using our fabulous VersaFine ink that's making the perfect stamp. I just love it. Yes, Melissa says, what, just one stamp set? I'm not sure if the paper is still, if there's any paper. I thought the last time I looked there, all the paper may have been gone too. But I tell you, I think these stamps are cute. I love this little Santa gnome. I don't know what it is. Some companies, they've been creating these Santa gnome stamps. I think they would be so cute, Copic colored, or colored with pencils. I just think they're adorable. So that was another reason I got those. Now remind me to wipe up my table so that I don't make a mess here. Now remember, some of this is getting covered up, so we don't need to be perfect. And we only need the edges. So there we go. We have created our own paper. How fun. I love it. Okay, there we go. Oops. I'm sorry, I have my computer off to the side, and Sheila says, gotta love gnomes. They are cute. Okay, so let me put this away, and then let me clean up the table. Let's dry this and make sure it's dry so that we don't get any ink everywhere else. Now, here's something else I do. When I'm matting, I always edge my edges with ink because, once again, it makes it look more professional. And I don't know, let's see if I can put this up here. So there you go. If I just left that like that, you would see the white edge. And that'd be okay. No big deal. But when you edge it with ink, and this is already pretty inked up, so I don't need to put any new on it. Just go right along your edges with an inker. Get rid of that white edge, and it just finishes it. And once again, gives it more of a professional look. So now let's take this. Now I will tell you, to adhere most of my paper, I just use an ATG gun. And this one is kind of a stinker, so let's hope it stays working. Once again, I'm going to go to the edge as much as possible. Oops, and I'm going off the edge. And I'm going to go down the middle since it's a big piece, and even in the middle here. Okay. Now, I did kind of go off the edge. I just kind of tuck that tape around, but then at the end, to finish it, I use my mono sand eraser, or I even have an adhesive eraser that will get rid of any extra tape that you can kind of see, and that's another finishing way to finish your page. So, and I normally cut my papers about 1/4 of an inch smaller on each side so that there's just a little bit of an edge. And once again, sometimes I will put some glue, but just to speed things along today. You don't really need the extra adhesion. It's just so that you have wiggle room to move it. Okay. So there's my background paper that I can make if I don't want to piece together the 6x6, but I don't have a 12x12 kit. Okay, and I push that down with my bone folder again. Okay, now we're ready for our flaps. And what I do, I know I need 3/4 of an inch, so I'm going to go from the top and very gently mark 3/4. Very lightly, and then make sure I'm in the middle. And if this is 5 1/4, that means I need 2 5/8. So about right here. So my first flap, I'm going to take my tape off, and this is where it's really important to use my glue. So that I have wiggle room. And I do eyeball this quite a bit. And I want it to be going straight down my page. See how that glue lets me wiggle it? It's fabulous. And I do need to come this way just a little bit. And I don't know that it's going to let me. So, there's my first one. See, it's just a little bit off right here. And then I flip it up, and I make sure I've got it glued down. And then if there's any glue, wipe it up. Okay? Now we want to keep this inch right here, and we're going to butt the next one up right next to that edge. Okay? And here's what I do. I try to line them up, and then I close this one to see if I'm in line. Okay, so that they're going straight, and I have a nice straight line this way. That's how I do that. my glue is not giving me wiggle room tonight. That's better, but I used a lot. So I butt those up, and then I kind of fold this one to make sure they're going to lay straight, yes, before I close this one. And then I push it down. See, I got a lot of glue on that one. And then really get those sealed down. Angela's here. Hi, Angela. Thanks for joining us. So there we go. And then Mel. Hi, Mel. Yes, Sheila, I did ink the edge. I always ink the edges of every cut piece of paper. Not the black ones, of course, but any collection papers, I always ink the edges. I think it gives it a professional finish. So close these again. Yep, I'm still going in the right direction. Okay. There we go. Wipe off the glue. Fold those down. There we go. And then this last one goes right here. It's just your flat final piece at the bottom. Okay? So I'm just going to tape that down, and then I'll put some glue. Fold over any excess tape that you have around the edges. Let's fold this one down. Yep, I'm right in line. Perfect. And I really want to make sure I butt those up and that I don't have any of my background paper showing. Use my bone folder again. And there we go. And then a lot of the tape also from like the ATG gun, if you have any extra, if you just roll your fingers over it, it comes off. It just rolls right off. So there are our flaps. Yay. Okay. So we have, how simple was that? All done. Okay. We even made our own background paper. Perfect. So now in the directions, we cut 2 pockets. Tracy says, this is fun, but I'm still working on the binder. Slow as molasses. Well, Tracy, I know. And you have to take your time. And that's why I left the directions, and then you can just watch it on replay. And seriously, it's worth taking your time. So now on the pockets, these are 6 3/8 by 3 1/2. And then you're going to score it 1/2 inch on each side and on the bottom. And then I mitered the corners. Remember we talked about mitering the corners on the cover? Miter your corners. Now these you do not need, just leave a little bit of an edge. It doesn't even have to be as much as we did on the corners or on the cover. So, and I did it on this one, but I have not taped this one or mitered it so that you can see it, okay? So let's do this one. And you have to think, I'll show you on this one. We are going to fold these in and fold this bottom in and it's going to go on our cover like this, and there's your pocket. I have to tell you, there are some people who will just cut a strip of paper, put glue on the sides, and then tape it down that way. And that's fine, but honestly, I think once again it's more professional, and it gives you a little bit more of a wiggle room in your pocket when you create the flaps and glue it on that way. Okay, so that's just my opinion. And did I talk like Yoda? Melissa says, I love that you talked like Yoda too. What? Did I do that? What are you talking about? So anyway, you threw me off there. So talking about our pockets. So I've got that one already done. I'll walk you through this one. I have it cut and I have it scored. I've already folded 1/2 inch here, 1/2 inch here. And I will tell you, I also like a 1/2 inch on all my flaps. Okay, and then a 1/2 inch on the bottom. So we're going to add tape. Here's another thing I didn't say. I don't know if you can see. When you score it, you'll have the indentation on one side, and then you'll have the bump on the other side. And I've seen several people, because of the way the paper folds, always fold in on the bump. Okay, fold away from the crease and fold in on the bump. There's something about the way paper folds. I think it just works better that way, and maybe it won't crack. So do that. So I always fold in on the bump. So I'm folding it and creasing it. Nice crease with my bone folder on those 3 edges. And then I'm going to add tape to the 2 edges here, my score tape. And I use, for this, I like the 3/8 inch tape. And I tape before I miter. So taping the edges down. There. Use your bone folder. Now, here's the trick. When you're making pockets, you can tape the 2 sides. Do not tape the bottom, because you know what happens when you tape the bottom? If you get it off the edge, or if somebody sticks a picture down and it happens to get behind it, it's going to stick to the tape, and things will stick and not move in and out easily. So you always glue the bottom edge, and then you don't ever have that problem. Okay, so tape the sides, glue the bottom. First, we need to miter edges. So we're trimming this one, and right here, go to the edge there. Mitering edges also gives it more of a professional look, and when you fold them in, you won't be able to see the edge. If you don't cut it, you might be able to see the edge up here, and also things might stick when you put it in there. So by mitering edges, it's once again more of a professional look, and it's easier for the user. Okay? So we're going to tape the first one at the bottom. Okay? I changed this from my original design because I decided I had so many photo mats I wanted to add, and they were kind of falling out, that if we added 2 pockets, it might help. So I took the tape off, but I'm going to now add glue to all 3 sides, including the bottom, to tape it on. And I start with the bottom. Once again, start in the middle and go out. And then I'm pushing down the corners. Okay, and there's my pocket. Let's see. It won't fit because it's too big, but there you go. There's my pocket. There's one. Now, we are going, I wrote my little notes on this one. This is, and I'll tell you why this is 6 3/8. Or Yes, 6 3/8, because you need to make it just a tiny bit smaller than, so that you don't have any edges sticking out of your album or getting in the way. You want to make it 1/8 of an inch smaller. So I didn't want to do 6 1/4, right? Yes, 6 1/4. I did, or am I right? Yes, I think so. I wanted it to be less than 6 1/2, right? So 6 3/8. My mind isn't working, guys. Do I have my math right? So, no, don't put your pretty paper down before your pocket, Melissa. That's why we're doing this first. I'm going to show you. No pretty paper first on this one. I'll show you. It saves paper. Saves you paper if you take your pocket right to the edge. And then we're going to place this one at 6 1/2 inches. And then the one at the bottom. So we're going to measure down 6 1/2. And I'm going to mark it in a little bit. We're going to add this one at 6 1/2 right here. Okay. So the reason we're doing this is so that you still have room for a 4x6 photo up here. That's why it's closer to this one at the bottom, because you're going to be able to put 4x6 photos here and here. Okay, so that's why it looks like it's not centered, or we're moving it down a little bit. Okay. And this one's already taped and mitered. So all we have to do is add glue. Make sure you get enough glue on your bottom flap to hold the bottom pocket in, and it doesn't want to come loose. Okay, so I'm going to eyeball this also. And hope I get it straight and on evenly. And you see, when you use your bone folder, you're also making sure that you get a nice crease, and you have, now, some people don't like to do pockets this way because it adds a little bit of bulk to your album, and I get that. I just like them better this way. I think it's more professional. So now there's our 2 pockets. Now we are ready to mat everything and with our paper. Now I'm going to tell you, I'm going to use glue for some things and my ATG gun for some things. Normally I use the ATG gun because your paper, we don't need extra adhesion or worry about things, you know, really coming off, because this is just the pretty part. It's not holding, the matted paper isn't really holding much. So here's how, and this is, I'm going to kind of tell you how. I pulled all the paper out of the 6x6 pad, and I did get 2 in case I needed extra because I don't like to run out. We can cut this one apart and use for tags. That's really cute. And this is double-sided. And here's one other one that we can cut apart for tags. I always kind of like to keep those, okay? Here's the other thing. I don't have to worry that much about it, but let's say I had a 12x12 collection. I normally pick my favorite paper and take it out and set it aside first for my cover, because I don't want to forget and use it, especially when you only have like maybe 1 sheet of each in a 12x12. Now this 6x6, I don't have to worry as much because I got 2 pads, but also we have the bigger cover, so we might even use a piece of cardstock again and then stamp and do something that we want for the cover, and then use some other smaller things. But I would normally take out my very favorite piece and put it aside and save it for the cover, and then that way I don't use it. But we don't really have to worry about that now. So here's what I do next. I am going to set these aside. I will go through and I will kind of look at the papers, and normally I work one spread at a time, but that's all we've got here. I call this a spread. I will pick three, and this is Kathy. I learned this from Kathy King. I always give credit where credit is due. Kathy picks 3 papers to work in a spread, and she will use them as much as possible as those papers on that page. So when I do that, I'm looking for like one bigger pattern, maybe one plaid, maybe solids, or a pattern, and then something like these polka dots. Okay, so it just depends, but we only have one spread that we're working with. So we want to think where our dominant pieces are and pick what we like there. Obviously, we have this one already. We have red. So we need to think about what's going there. Something bigger needs to go on this flap. And this would also be, like if we look here, this is where I like to use, like we could use this, layer up this December 25th, and how cute, or how about this Christmas countdown? That would be cute. Or here's my funky little Santa gnome, or happy ho 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 to you. So, and then we can layer this. So I would use something like this on this one. And then look, there's already some strips here that we can use on the bottom here and in these little areas right here that we need 1-inch strips. Melissa says, do you not put pretty paper down before no, we already talked about that. So let's cut these. And normally I work with a bigger cutter, but for the sake of saving room, I pulled out this little Tonic Tim Holtz paper cutter. So because we kind of need to do the matting part together. It's not something we could do ahead of time. So let's trim this and see what we've got in these. Okay, so we've got these. So you guys let me know, what do you like? What do you like on these? I definitely think we should use one of these. I also, wait a minute, I'm forgetting, I did buy the pack of tags that Kelly has in the store, and we don't want to add a lot of bulk inside our album, but we can do something, and it might be really cute to use a tag. So let's see what we've got there. So we've got these. Isn't that paper so cute? Oh my gosh, I love it. Let's open this up. These are the tags, and see what we've got in here. So we've got these, and then let's see. Oh my gosh, I love this little snowman. He might be cute. And there's a sleigh. So I just kind of play. Oh, look at the joy. I like that one. I think that might be cute. Or, hey Santa, North Pole. Kind of, well, let's see. I know this joy might not, we might need something lighter because of our background being red. Ooh, look at this Merry Christmas. This is kind of cute too. Let's see. And there's cheer, and there's just a to and from tag. We obviously don't want to use that. And I don't want to use another red one. So, and this is where you could stamp those and color them up and add them if you didn't want to use one of these. Let's see. I think I like, keep my paper and get rid of all of these tags and see what we might like. I think this is the tag I like the best if we're going to use that. We could always add a little bit of twine or string, and let's see. I have to tell you, I think I like the bright of that happy ho 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 to you, just because it contrasts with our red background. Now let's see what we've got. I know there's some solid papers in here. So this is what I kind of do. I start looking for focal points and see, excuse me, like what I like. Now we can layer up, and this is what I love about smaller patterns in 6x6, and use as much of this pattern paper as possible. And I can tell you, I already like that gray with the Santas and the white. So I'm going to go ahead and use, let's see how much of that will really show. Yeah. I don't want to waste something either that you're not going to see a lot of it. I think it's cute. Let's use that. Okay. Executive decision there. So that one's done. So these, I think, I end up being 4x5, but let me remember. So they're 4x5, and I always go, like I said, 1/4 of an inch smaller. So we're going to go 4 3/4. Double check your measurements because you waste so much paper. Wait a minute, what was that? That was 4 3/4, that's the long way, by, I said it needs to be 3 3/4, right? Yes, 3 3/4. Here's the long way, am I right? Three and 3/4. I'm thinking. Sorry, guys. Because I tell you, if you don't keep thinking about it, you'll mess up. So there we go. So there's that one. And then we're going to put that there. Perfect. I love it. That'll be cute. So now let's keep going and figure out what. Now, I'll tell you this. There's our big one. That's a focal point. Then we're going to put a photo mat here, just white. And we're going to do a smaller one here. So we need a strip here, and we're going to do a strip at the bottom. And I'll show you. Let's cut a photo mat so that you can visualize what we're doing here. We will want, okay, this is, we said this was 4x5. So we're going to cut the same size for one, 3 1/4 by 4 3/4. So that's what, there's the photo mat. And that also tells, when you give this to someone, tells them exactly, they'll know where to put a picture. And some people even have a little stamp that says, place picture here. Or you could do it for them if they aren't sure, you know, how it works. Now, we'll do a photo mat here. Now this one's going to be smaller because we're going to put, remember the little strip of paper at the bottom. So if this one, this is about 1 inch, so it's 3/4. Let's see when we close up our flap. I think this leaves us with 1 inch here. Yes, so these, now I will tell you, I like to do a little bit more than 3/4 because I want it to go right up here. I don't want much of a gutter here, or an edge. I only want about 1/8. So this needs to be 7/8 here for this one, okay? So if we have, this is basically 5, and we're going to do the inch, this is 4, so this needs to be 3 3/4 in length by 3 3/4. Let's see what we've got here. Okay, so here's how you can visualize it. Here is one, that's the smaller one, and then that's where your larger one's going to be. And then we'll have pattern paper here and pattern paper here, okay? So let's go ahead. Normally I don't glue this ahead of time, but I want you to be able to see it as we go. So don't forget, we're going to ink the edges of all of our paper before we tape it down. Okay. This inker, I think I got it too wet, and I'm not liking it. It's kind of putting a lot of ink on my paper, on my edges, and I don't want to smear that on there. I will tell you. I tried to use my new Catherine Pooler Midnight ink, and it's so juicy. I think it put too much ink on here, and then it's staying too wet on my paper. So I'm going to tell you, I'm going to switch this out for this. I'm not going to use that, and I'm going to go back to using my Tim Holtz Black Soot, because I think it might dry a little bit more quickly, and it's not as juicy on my blending tool. I do not want my paper to get yucky. Okay, so there's that one, and let's open it up, and I'm going to go ahead. I don't ink the white cardstock because obviously that's the photo mat there. I'm going to go ahead and put that there so you can visualize as we're going. I normally place photo mats at the very, very end, but I want you to be able to see it. Okay, so now you can see we need a strip here, and then I'm going to put this here so you can see it. We'll need a strip here, okay, as we go. I go through and I pick colors that I like right here. And normally what's nice is if you have, when you're doing a big album, you have all these little pieces. So when you need little pieces like that, use those. Don't cut into new pages, okay? And so we'll save these because we might use these in some of those. So let's see what we've got. I mean, you know, we're not using a ton of paper here. So it's really easy. I pick patterns. I pick just whatever's interesting. And obviously I don't want all white papers, but I do want something to go with this one. So I even like these little strings of lights. And then let's pick some black with the Santas that would go with that one. The little Nomi Santas, those are cute. And then I don't really want red. And maybe let's do one other black one. We could do a smaller one, like we could do checks in between or something. There's this cute gray and black. See, I tried it, like I have this pattern, I'm thinking about the colors, and then I might do something like polka dots or a check with the patterns. So let's pick another, like let's do a polka dot now, or another plaid in a light color. Ooh, look at this cute one. So now there's a cute red and gray plaid that kind of goes along with the check. And then we've got two whites and two darker ones. And that's kind of the way I would think about it. But it's also got, you know, because we have the red edge also. And it plays with these well. So we know we need 3/4 inch, let's do these first. We need about a 3/4, or we said 7/8, didn't we, on each of those. So let's do a practice one and see how it goes. And we need 7/8 by 3 3/4. Now let's do this. And it's very difficult to cut these exactly on these little tiny edges. This is where if I pulled out my old trimmer with the blade, it might work better. So let's see how this is going to go. That's perfect, because I pretty much want it to bump right up against the edge here, and that's perfect. So let's cut it at 3 3/4 and see how we've done. There we go. I'll take it. So there's one. And I will tell you, the paper, if you're not holding it down, it'll move on your trimmer too, but it's okay. We've done okay. So let's get these cut. Three-quarters, or 7/8 by 3 3/4. Thank you, T. You have to be patient. It takes a while, but I think it's just working with the pretty papers. It's just, I love it. And the finished product, it just makes you so proud when you sit back and you're like, I made a book. That's awesome. Okay, so there we've got those. Let's get rid of these. And let's ink our edges. And it's real easy. Just get a little bit of ink on your blender and then you don't have to keep going back. It's super simple. I'm just going to glue these down because it's faster. Oops, don't get your paper in the glue. And don't glue the wrong side. I've been known to do that too. Okay. I have a little needle that goes in the top of my glue and I need to put it in there before I lose it. Okay. So now let's see. I want to do, let's do a dark one. Normally I have this figured out before I glue them. Okay, let's do our Santas here and take it right up to the edge. And we want it to be even. We want our straight edges. Okay, now let's do a plaid. And then let's do a dark one again. Oh shoot, I don't want to do that. I would have done it. See, this is why we have to lay them out and look at them first. I wanted to alternate the plaids. No, I don't like that. Okay, let's do, darn, it's going to come that way anyway. Tell you what, let's save some of these. Let's do this one. No. Let's do this one here. And then we'll go do it. We'll pick two more because I don't like the way that's going to come out. I didn't think about it enough. And I didn't do this one right. Guys, I'm not thinking, sorry. This is where using glue is good because I wanted white there, didn't I? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this one here at the bottom. There we go. Now I want to pick two different ones for up here, and I can use these inside in these gutters, okay? So let's find two other things that I like better now. We could still use the gray and carry it back that we used up here. That would be good. We could use that right there. Or, let's see what else we've got here. I'm looking through our papers. Oh, look, let's use the snowflakes here, and then we'll use the gray one there. And that'll look cute. It's not as dark as the black, but it's good. Okay, so let's see how we like that. This is why you need to look before you push it down, because if you don't like it, just change it. And I could see as I was going that I didn't like that. I didn't like that pattern. I didn't like the two plaids next to each other. And that's how it was going to come out. Okay, so we'll put this one here and then this one here. So let's ink those, and then okay guys, we are at 9. We have been here for an hour and 40 minutes. So I kind of need to know what you would like to do. Do you want to just keep going, or should we stop and then finish this next week? Like, what do you think? Are you getting tired? Do we want to just continue it next week? What do you guys want to do? Because obviously, you know, it takes a while to work through these albums. It's not but once you get the hang of it, it will go much faster. Much, much faster. Okay, so I want this one to go here. So you tell me, how's everybody feeling? What are you thinking? There. And then see, we kind of look down and we can see our edges. They look pretty good. Okay. Melissa says part 2 next week. Pam says I have to go to bed but can watch a replay. So Pam says quit now too. What's everybody else want to do? Because, you know, we're only on this half. But I will tell you, we'll do the giveaway. Pam's, don't leave yet. Don't leave yet. Let's do the giveaway tonight. And we'll do another giveaway next week, I think. I think Kelly says we can. So let's do, here we go. We've got this part finished. We will work on this. You know what? I could even do that, or we'll do that next week. We'll work on the gutters and add photo mats, and then we'll work on the rest next week.